One of the things that con artists do incredibly well is actually read other people. So psychics are kind of the ultimate at this. They can read all of the cues that you're throwing off without realizing you're throwing them off. And so they seem psychic to you, even though you're telling them everything, you're giving them everything that they need to go on. And the truth is, most of us don't do that. Most of us really do not listen to other people. Victor Lustig, who was one of the most famous con artists of the 20th century, his nickname was Count Lustig, and he sold the Eiffel Tower 2 times for scrap metal, he said, and neither time was he reported because the people who'd bought the tower were so incredibly just embarrassed that they didn't want to say anything. That's how he was able to pull it off twice and live to tell the tale. He wrote something called the 10 Commandments of the con artist. And one of the commandments is a con artist isn't a good talker. A con artist is a good listener. And I think that that tells you everything that you need to know. Con artists are people who actually listen. They listen when you talk. They pay attention. We don't do that. Normally when we ask a question, we don't really listen to the answer. We're half there, we're half thinking about what we're going to say next. We're thinking about ourselves. We're not thinking about the other person. Maybe we're even on our phone checking something while they're talking. You say, oh yeah, I can multitask. Don't worry, keep going. No, you can't. You're not actually listening to them. And so you're missing all of these cues. The thing that makes us better able to read other people is being motivated. Motivation really enhances our ability to look at other people and see what they're telling us. It forces us to listen. Con artists are motivated to listen because that's their livelihood. They need to read you well in order to sell you what they're selling you. And most of us don't have that motivation. And so if we figure out a way, this is actually important to me. I want to invest in this friendship. I want to really understand this person. I want to be the kind of person who really is a good friend, who really pays attention. If we motivate ourselves, then all of a sudden we can sometimes pick up the cues like, how are you sitting? What's your posture like? What's your voice like? Do you look like you've slept? Have you changed anything about your appearance? How often do you change your hair or change something and nobody notices? There's this wonderful story of a news anchor who came in wearing the exact same thing every single day just to see if anyone would notice, and no one did. And he was male, so that was a little bit easy. It's a little bit of a cheat. You just wear a shirt and a suit, and everyone says, okay. And a woman, I don't think, would have been able to pull it off quite as well. And yet, sometimes women complain that husbands don't notice a change of color or, totally new outfit, that they're just not paying attention to those sorts of things. Motivation, it's just hard to keep yourself motivated all the time to pay attention to people, unless you're a psychic and you know that reading that person well will enable you to have them come back, because then they'll believe that you're a real psychic because they were able to extract a lot of information from you. That, by the way, is another one of the skills. It's not just observing, it's being able to extract information. So being a good listener, people can tell when you're listening. And when they can tell that someone is really listening, they start talking. You start talking more and more when you feel like someone is actually listening to what you're saying. And all of a sudden, you're telling things about yourself that you never thought you were going to be telling.